Now, I already know how I'm going to be coming off in this video. I'm going to be coming off as a deluded Arsenal fan, butthurt that Man City beat Spurs. And I'm going to be honest, I probably am a little bit deluded right now and probably still a little bit butthurt that City beat Spurs. So if I come off as that, well, it's probably because I am a deluded Arsenal fan that is butthurt. So we can get that out the way. And there is nothing else I would love in my life right now more than Arsenal to get a win against Everton, and maybe something happens with Man City and we win our first Premier League trophy in 20 plus years. That would be the dream. And that wouldn't just be the dream for me, that would be the dream for every and any Arsenal fan. And maybe through ignorance, maybe through just sheer love of Arsenal, I actually think the title race isn't 100% over. And before you rush off into the comments to tell me how wrong I am, give me a second to explain before you do that. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Gunner Central here. I hope you are all doing well. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, we have seen many times, and I mean many times, that the last day in the Premier League is often never a foregone conclusion, and something can always happen. Think back to Man City and Liverpool in 2022, when Man City were down to Aston Villa 2-0 with 15 minutes to go, and had the game ended like that, well then Liverpool would have been crowned champions. It obviously didn't end like that. City pulled it out the hat and they got themselves another Premier League trophy. I mean, think about the Aguero moments, how last minute that was for Man City. Man City have proven at times to make it very interesting on the last day, and the Premier League in general usually has it very interesting on the last day. Now, of course, none of this matters if we don't outright beat Everton, a team we did already beat 1-0 in the season, but I actually think Everton are a tough team. I've already made a video about them, about how surprisingly good they are over on my football channel, but Everton defensively are actually extremely strong, and even when we beat them earlier in the season, we struggled to break them down. They also kept a clean sheet against Liverpool in the Merseyside derby, and they had the 4th least conceded goals in the Premier League. They are a defensive juggernaut. So of course, regardless of what happens between West Ham and Man City, if we don't beat Everton in the Emirates Stadium, we won't win the league. Simple as that. So we just have to, under any circumstance, we just have to do our job, and I mean preferably do it quite comfortably. Yes, we also haven't lost to Everton at home since 2010, so we just have to win this. But with everyone worrying about Man City and West Ham, we have to be honest. Everton is going to be a tricky game, and we need to stay locked in for that. That's a fact. But now on to why I think the title race isn't over yet. So here comes the delusion. Like I mentioned earlier, Man City have proven to oftentimes make the final day quite interesting. And of course, West Ham have been extremely hot and cold this season. They have beaten us at the Emirates Stadium. They have drawn with Liverpool. But I guess equally, they've also lost 5-0 to Palace. They've even lost 6-0 to us. So you never know which West Ham will pull up on the final day. And I mean, frankly, they could be playing a Man City side that is thinking, like the rest of the football in the world, that this game is a foregone conclusion, and for all we know, Pep and Man City's minds could be mainly fixated on the FA Cup final next week against Manchester rivals Manchester United. With this also being David Moyes' last game for West Ham, I'm sure the players and David Moyes would like to go out on a high, right? Remember, all we need is either a draw between Man City and West Ham, or even a loss, which admittedly, even as delusional as I am right now, that's just not going to happen. But it's the last day of a topsy-turvy Premier League season, and after watching so many last days go down to the wire, well, if we're being completely honest, anything is possible. And it may be a tad bit foolish to simply expect Man City to get all 3 points comfortably against a West Ham team still trying to qualify for Europe. Now, yes, I know, it's Man City we are talking about here. Man City are unbeaten against West Ham in their last 16 games. But I mean, in a high-pressure game, well, anything is possible. I remember even in the Champions League final, expecting Man City to comfortably beat Inter Milan last season. And Inter Milan drove it to the wire. Not many people thought Spurs would do anything realistically to stop Man City. But Spurs played a really elite first half. Son missed the now infamous chance that could have handed us control of our own destiny going into the final day. So you never know. And until the final whistle is over, the Premier League title race is not over. Now that's enough delusion for a little bit. I know realistically it is pretty much over. I genuinely don't really see West Ham getting anything from the game. So before you rush to the comments, I am admitting realistically that Man City will still win the Premier League, but you have to be honest. Football is not played on paper. anything is possible. But anyway, on top of me not seeing West Ham really get anything from the Man City game, I'm really expecting this Everton game to be very difficult. And if West Ham can't pull something out the hat for us, well then no matter what we do against Everton, we won't win the title and City will win their 4th consecutive title, breaking the previous Premier League record set by Manchester United with 3 in a row. So I actually don't think Man City will slip up. But I guess you never know, right? But as an Arsenal fan, it doesn't matter. We just have to keep our hopes up, do our job in beating a tough Everton team. Listen, we've had an amazing, awesome second half of the season. If we can replicate that for the beginning of the season next season and the end of the season next season, or if we can just replicate our 2024 form across the whole season, well then we should win the Premier League. But the fact of the matter is that those losses against West Ham, Fulham and Aston Villa, those 3 losses to me, they really stick out and they are going to be the reason why we most likely won't win the Premier League. But at the end of the day, there is nothing more that I would want than to see Arsenal lift the Premier League on Sunday afternoon. I don't know if that'll happen, but again, it's not over until the final whistle blows.